Hi there, this is Doris Benter of Library Arts. I want to welcome you to my program today. We're going to create a beautiful little snow candle. Now, the great thing about this snow candle is it's not a real candle. It's made from simple materials, a cardboard tube, most people have those around their house, some Model Magic, a miniature tea light that you'll love the way it comes in and out of your candle, so it can be turned off and on, little glue and glitter, and optional, a little pine tree. So I'm happy about this project. I'm happy to share it, and we're going to go ahead and get started by going over the materials in more detail. See you in a moment. Okay, let's go over the materials you're going to need for this project. First, you're going to need just a cardboard tube, like a toilet paper tube that's empty. Kids can collect those at home. Some kind of strong base. These wood rounds are great, but you could always use a little bit of foam core or thick cardboard. That's going to be the base for your candle. You're going to need some paint. Now you're going to need some white paint or whatever color you want to make the candle. If you want to give the kids choices, you could pick wintry colors. I just decided to work with white. I think it looks really classic for the winter time, but you could always have more than one color choice. You're also going to need a little bit of glue. So I have some glue here and a craft stick to go with that. You're going to need some Model Magic clay. Now I like to give the kids some white clay, not even this much, I would say a quarter of this. I just happen to have a big lump here, and then some primary colored Model Magic clay, which is great air dry clay, a tea light, and these are great because they turn on and off. And because the tea light's going to sit on top here, you won't have to worry about it being a problem with wasting the battery in the tea light. You're also going to want some crumbled up newspaper or recycled paper of any kind that you might have, and you're just going to be using it inside the tube here. So that's another good thing to have. And finally, if you want, and I think this is a great look if you can do it, if you have some white glitter, since we're doing this virtually, I give the kids a little bit of white glitter in a little tiny paint cup. And finally, one more thing, which is really a nice addition. If you can get a hold of these mini pine trees, they're often on sale around the holidays or after the holidays, easily ordered on Amazon. They're very miniature. They're really tiny, about an inch high. This one has a little wooden base. This one doesn't. Both work really well because they stick right into the clay. And those are the materials you're going to be needing to make your little snowman themed faux candle. Let's go ahead and get started now. Okay, let's talk about preparing this faux candle by attaching to the base. Now, cardboard generally has a very thin thickness that's going to make it hard for this to stay secured. So what you're going to do is simply take some scissors, make some slits around the base of one end of your cardboard. I'm cutting it about a ½ inch, and we're going to do a flange bend where we're just going to bend these out as if they were like the petals on a flower. You can even say to the kids, well, we're going to make the petals on a flower now. And we're going to bend these backwards to achieve that. Now, an adult should do the next step, which is going to be to attach this with hot glue. If you don't have a hot glue gun, you could glue them overnight, but I do recommend hot gluing these to the base, letting them cool, obviously, setting that aside. The next thing you're going to need is some white, or again, whatever color you want to use, Model Magic, and not even a lot. This is like a small ball in my hand. I'm going to take some of that clay, and what I'm going to do, now this has not been hot glued, but by the time we come back at the next video, it will be hot glued. You'll do that before the clay, but I'm just going to show you. We're going to make some clay, wax drips, pretend drips that is, and we're going to be adding them onto the sides of our cardboard. So I'm going to make a bunch of wax strips, and some should be short, some could be longer, like this one's a little longer. Maybe I'll make a little shorter one this time. And they're going to go around the base, the circumference of your cardboard tube. So I'm going to make a couple more and have them sitting right here. And in the next video, we will add that newspaper or recycled paper inside the cardboard. And then obviously your cardboard will have to be attached to your base. You can always trim off any extra cardboard from the flanges you see there. And then we will move on to using the white paint. So I'm gonna hot glue. We're gonna come back and add the newspaper. We're gonna put on these clay quote drips. They're not real drips. They're gonna make the look of wax candle drips. And then we'll be moving on to painting. So you'll need some of that white paint and a brush or any other color paint you want to use. And I recommend having a little paper towel to keep your brush dry. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we have the flange bends of the cardboard glued onto our wood base. And this is just a wood slice. I'm going to take just some old newspaper. I get the paper delivered, so I can use paper for lots of different things. But I'm just going to hold the tube and stuff the paper inside. You'll realize why that's important, because we need to have a support for the tea light in the end. That's going to hold that tea light up near the top of the faux candle. So that's why that cardboard is so important. So as I said before, we got this here, the newspaper in, the gluing done. We made these little candle wax pieces, so now we're ready to add them. And what you're going to do is you're going to slip it inside the candle just a tiny bit and start to press it along the outside of the candle. Just going around with random heights. Don't worry if the clay is not sticking, if it's a little loose, because we're going to fix that in a minute by adding some paint over this. I'm going to keep going around till I have a nice random sample. So they're like little candy cane hooks. They're hanging on the inside of the tube, so that then I can add the paint over this in a minute. And I'll move this one over a little bit and put one right here. Great. So again, don't worry about these being loose. They may stick if the clay is a little fresh out of the package. It might stick better. I'm going to now dry my brush, take my paint, which I like to store in these great little appetizer cups, or cups that are used for, like, you know, ketchup or mayonnaise or things like that for a picnic. They're really great. You can get them at Party City. You can get them on Amazon. They're not very expensive at all. And it just prevents them from spilling if you put a little tape on the lid. I'm going to take that paint, and I'm just going to, if it's sticking, if it's coming off a little bit, I'm just going to put some paint underneath it, and it's just going to help that clay stick a little better. I'm going to try to go all the way around my cardboard and get a nice white layer. Now again, if you wanted to make these blue candles, red candles, you could even make them Halloween candles by making them black or orange. I've done that. I've done Halloween themed candles like this. They look great. Fantastic. If one falls off like that, no big deal. Put a little more paint. It's going to stick right back on with that paint. It's going to hold right on where it needs to be. Again, just kind of get that paint under and over the clay, because it's going to help it stick onto your cardboard. So I'm working my way around slowly and just trying to get the paint into all the crevices where the cardboard would show. And this is a great thing to do first, like on the first day, because then the kids can let it dry until next class, and then you'll have it ready to go for the next step, which will be building with more clay. just a little bit more clay. So I'm gonna get this under here and again over on top. And believe me, if you leave this undisturbed overnight, or even for an hour or so, you will have great results. So here, I'm gonna turn it around carefully. You can see my fingers are getting totally covered with paint, but that's okay. The paint will indeed hold this in. I've made these before. They're a lot of fun. The kids love it because they're working with textures, they're working with paint, they're working with clay. It's a 3D thing that they're gonna build. It's a really easy thing to do if you wanna make it a bag of materials they take home and you want to instruct them virtually. I have done this with 4-year-olds and they were fantastic. They were able to follow the directions because everything was labeled in a bag for them in advance. And you know, when they're little, parents are usually nearby to focus them or help them find a material that you're talking about. If you want to make it brighter and you think it needs a second coat, you can always let this dry and come back and put a second coat on. But I'm pretty pleased with the way it looks right now. And I think I'm going to let mine dry. So it's going to look like this. Again, sort of like a candle with wax melting down the sides. And I'm going to, you can hold it by the base, go around one more time, make sure the paint's nice and even. Got good coverage. And over here, I'm just gonna paint the sides of my base too. And then I'm gonna set it aside to dry while I work on some other parts of my candle. And then when this is dry, we'll come back to it and add the next bit. So I don't know about you, but I'm off to wash my hands. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. And you can see the paint has dried. Actually, it dried like in 20 minutes. It hasn't been that long since I left it. So you know that if you do this, you can actually work on other parts of the project if you want. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take some white clay. Now remember, this is way more than your students would need. They would need much less. So I'm gonna take some of this clay and I'm going to make a little bed of snow around the base of my candle. Just like a little snowfall, like it would be on the ground. And I'm gonna leave it right here. And you can make it a little bumpy, a little hilly, however you want to do it. You may even want to paint it with a little white paint, just to give it a consistent look. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the trees. I have 2 trees here. And actually the one with a little wire is probably the easier one to stick in here. And I'm just going to stick it in the clay. And I'm going to take some of that clay and work it up right next to the tree, just like that. I'm going to put a little extra clay right around the base of the tree so it stays nicely. And I might even let that dry a little bit before I add a little more paint, but there's a beautiful little pine tree at the base of the candle. So we're going to let that sit there. And then next I would give your kids, again, 3 little lumps of clay. And this is going to be for building a snowman. Now, the great thing about this is that you can use this time to talk about techniques such as making a little snowman by rolling the clay in your hand to make a ball, or what I like to remind the kids, this is a sphere. So I have 1. I have 2. I'm rolling out my sphere here. And then the largest one, of course, would come last. And that, again, just involves rolling my clay like this. And I have 3 small spheres, sort of graduating in size from smallest for the head, the middle round, and the third round. And we can just stick those 3 together to make a little snowman. Now it's fun to talk about a little bit of color mixing. So we're done with this white, and you see how little I used from the original amount. So I'm gonna wrap that up in plastic, keep it nice and soft. Foil can also work, but that'll maintain the freshness of your clay so that you can reuse it for a future project. So I have 3 little balls of clay here, and this is an opportunity to talk about primary colors and how primary colors mix to make secondary colors. So we know we want an orange carrot nose. We're going to take a little pinch, I mean literally a little pinch of yellow and a smaller pinch of red. And I think it's always important to tell them they need more yellow than red to make that carrot nose. And then it's just a matter of pressing, folding, and watching how the clay, and this is just so exciting for kids to see how color can change by mixing, and mixing in a unique way, not like the paint on a brush and mixing on a palette, but by folding and kneading as if you're making some bread dough, you can get an amazing little bit of orange clay. So I'm going to take just, look at this, it's a very small piece of clay, but I'm just going to take a little pinch off of it because we don't really need that much to make a little nose for our snowman. In fact, I could even take a smaller bit and making it a little pointy, a little flat on the end, I can make a little cone. And I'm going to put that right here on my snowman so that I have a little snowman nose. Now it's fun to decide what color eyes you might want, but look how tiny that little pinch is. Just a tiniest little pinch. Make a couple blue eyes. And I'll put one here. Oopsie. Maybe I'll use that and break it. Here, one here. There's one eye. Here's the other eye. And then I'm going to take just a little marker. And you can make, you could include black clay, but I actually like the idea of, again, experimenting with color mixing. So I always say, well, what if I use a little blue clay with a little red clay? Could I get something new? And of course, with red and blue, you can get a really fabulous purple. And so we're going to make a little purple clay here. And it's all about folding and kneading. Oh, and look at that purple. Isn't that amazing? It's a great color, and Model Magic clay is so great for color mixing. Of course, the kids want to mix all the colors together, so you have to remind them that if that's what you want, if you want gray mud, that's what you're going to get. So here's my purple. So I could take a little bit of purple clay off of that. I could make a little circle with it, like a little pancake. And that could be the brim of my top hat, or it could be a little a ski hat, or whatever you want. So I'm going to put a little purple on top of my snowman. And then I'm going to take another little piece. I'm not even going to use all the purple I made. I'm going to roll it and press it between my hands to make like a little can shape, like a little soup can or soda can. And I'm going to put that on top of my hat to give it that old-fashioned snowman look, which I think is really quite sweet. Now, you might want to use a little extra white, and you could do this earlier rather than later like I'm doing, and you could add a couple little snowman arms, or you could, gather some twigs. Those are great for snowman arms. I'm going to add a couple little snowman arms here. And I'm thinking maybe another color I could make is green. We haven't made green yet. So I'll take a little piece of yellow, tiny piece of blue, and let's mix that together and show them that you can make amazing secondary color by pressing and squeezing and pressing and folding and basically kneading your clay dough. You can get a fabulous green, which would be perfect for a little scarf on our snowman. Look at that. Now you can use it leave it partially marbleized, or you can mix it completely. So I'm going to just break off a piece, roll it like a snake, like we did earlier for the candle wax, and I'm just going to wrap it around my snowman. He's got a cute little scarf. Now, of course, if they want to be really traditional, they might want to make buttons. But here's another fun way to mix, and that is to take a little white clay and maybe red or blue or yellow, you choose, and you could show them tinting. We can tint with the clay as well, just by folding, pressing, and this is so good for their fine motor skills. And not only that, you end up with a really fun color of pink or light blue or light powdery yellow. You decide what you like. And I'm going to take a little bit of that and I'm going to make a little button on my snowman. Maybe I'll use a little orange for a little tiny button like this. And there, my snowman is in really terrific shape. So what we can do is now put our snowman on our candle base. Now this is where your glue is going to be very handy. You don't want that snowman falling down, and he's already taking a little tilt as we speak. So I'm going to take a little bit of that craft glue, and this is tacky glue. So when I say craft glue, I'm really referring to tacky glue. And I'm just going to press my snowman against the candle like that. So we have that in place. We have our little tree. If you want to add white paint over the clay to make it more consistent with the snowman, you can certainly do that. Then it's time to pull out that tea light and show how it's going to fit. And actually that clay helps to give you a little bit more of a unified shape at the top. The clay actually makes it fit a little tighter on the top. So we're going to take that that light, press it in the top, make sure we test it out. Kids always like to see that their tea lights work, so that they're going to have this really fun tea light. And now I'm going to put all this clay aside, and I would totally wrap it up because, listen, you can always use that clay for something else, and that would be fantastic. We have this little bit of glitter, and here's something fun that you can do, is take that craft stick, put a little glue around the edge of your light. Now, this is the top, and this has nothing to do with the way you turn it on and off, so I'm just spreading a thin layer of glue around the top, maybe around the top edges of my cardboard too. I'll put some glue there. I'm going to put some glue onto some of the wax strips that we call them, like this. Maybe a little bit on my snowman's hat, a little on his scarf. I'm going to put a little glue on the snow at the bottom. So I'm just putting glue in lots of different places so that we can get a really fun snow glitter effect. We'll put a little glue over here, on the sides here, on the base of our snowman, and then put that glue aside. You're done with that. Again, wrapping up any clay that you might have had left over. We are ready to add that beautiful, sparkly, extra fine, which is what I like to use, extra fine white glitter. And let's start at the top. A little bit goes a long way, honestly, with this. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the top. Oh, look how pretty that makes the light look. Just as a pretty sparkle. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit around the base. And I don't want to use it all there. I want to definitely get some on the candle drips, on the snowman, to give it that really fun winter sparkle. And look at that. You end up with an incredible little candle filled with glitter, filled with snow, a feeling of snow all over it. and perfect for the winter months. So easy. I've done this personally with pre-K, with kindergarten. It's great with first grade, and it will be a treat and a delight for parents. Take out the light. You want to turn it off. You got that switch to turn it off. Then you can pop it back in. The children don't waste the light. The kids love it. The parents love it. And there you go. What a wonderful winter celebratory candle. This is Doris Benter of Library Arts, and thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you take advantage of making this wonderful little charming faux candle craft for the winter months. Hope to see you soon. Stay safe and stay creative.